Hello everyone, I'm Razi Sheikh. Today we are going to learn about one of the most fascinating properties of light, which is the reflection. So we will explore how mirror works and how images are formed and the laws that govern this process. Before we proceed further, let me ask you something. What happens when you stand in front of a mirror in a dark room and you see nothing? Why? You know why? Because without the light, reflection cannot occur. So, light is essential for us to see ourselves in the world around us. Now, when you look in a mirror in a bright room, rays of light from your face, in this case, they strikes the mirror and then it bounces back to your eyes. The ray that strikes the surface is called the incident ray. The ray that bounces off is the reflected ray. The line drawn perpendicular to the surface at the point of incidence is called normal. Now don't worry, to make it simple, let us see a simple diagram in this case. Okay. Now from here we can look at it. The light which is coming from here is drawn with the arrow and it's reflecting from the surface and then it is bouncing back. Right? So in this case, this line which is coming an incident we call simply an incident ray, and the light which is going from the away from the surface after reflecting back we call reflected ray. All right, and in between this line we call this as a normal. So for you to understand, I've already written everything here that you can see. So ray of light that strike the surface, incident ray, and the reflected ray you can see, and this is the normal in the center. Now normal is the imaginary line which divides the incident ray and reflected ray into two parts. Okay, now as you can see here, the two angles, the angle I and angle R. Angle I is the angle between the incident ray and the normal at the point of incidence, and the angle of reflection is the angle between the reflected ray and the normal at the point of reflection. Make sure every time whenever we measure the angle, it is always measured from the normal, like this. As you can see, the angles are always measured between the rays and the normal. Now let us look at the simple law, in this case known as the law of reflection. So the law of reflection states that angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection, and this law applies to the plane mirror as well as the curved mirror in this case. So what is in this case, the incident ray is I and the reflected ray is R. So in this case, if we measure the angle I and angle R, it should be equal. Now let us look at the demonstration where we can understand how the reflection works. So in this case, we have a simple demonstration. We will be requiring few things like we will require to measure the angle in this case. So we can use the protractor. Okay, we'll be align them in such a way that the zeros should be coincidence. Okay, so that any change of the measurement in angle, we can measure it. Okay, we require the two different medium right now. Okay, so that a reflecting surface could be there. So right now we have chosen the air and the other medium is the water. Okay, now simply we can even choose this to be a glass. So let us consider this is a glass slab and this is in this case of the air. Okay, now what happens when I just shine the light on the surface? Okay, now I want you to closely observe in this case. Now you see, for a moment, let us ignore this light in this case, okay, and you focus on this light. Okay, now this light is known as a reflection. So when the light comes from here, it goes from here. Okay, the law of reflection says that the angle of incidence should be equal to angle of reflection, right? So let us shift to the 60 degree and let us see whether the angle at the reflected part is it 60 or not. And as we all can see that here, okay, the angle which is coming like this is going here. So the angle between the normal line and the incident rays, we can say it is 60 because 0 to 60 is the angle. And whereas the other side you can see, so from 0 to 60 it is also come. Now it is not only for 60 which is coming. So you can shift to this part and now you see it is the same case. Fine. If your incident angle is 30 degree, then reflected angle is, in this case, 30 degree again. So this proves that the angle of incident is equal to angle of reflection all the time. And this is how the physics works. Thank you so much for listening to me, and let's see you in the next class.